I remember going to McDonald's one day and hello and welcome back to Asia Now. My name is Alex and in this video I'll tell you about don't do this as a foreigner in the Philippines, what's going on with martial law in South Korea, new forensic lab tech at Clark Airport, hidden cameras at a university event, another Russian woman tragedy, plus much more, beginning with the USD to peso exchange rate, $1 equal to 58.65, not much movement for the past couple days. And I want to begin by thanking Curtis with a $2 super thanks donation to the channel. Thank you so much. Let's jump straight into our main story. In Paranaque City, the Bureau of Immigration arrested a 46-year-old Chinese woman identified as Chen for working illegally as a cashier in a Chinese grocery store in Barangay Tambo. Although Chen had a valid working visa, it was issued for a different employer, which violated immigration rules. The arrest was carried out by the Bureau of Immigration operatives following a mission order from the BI commissioner. A test purchase confirmed Chen was working at the store's cash register. She was taken to the BI office for processing and is now in custody at Camp Bagong Diwa pending her deportation case. Pretty sad because she obviously went through the right procedure to get a working visa, but working for the wrong employer. I guess whatever happened with her previous employer, she probably thought it's not a big deal to go ahead and just, oh, maybe she didn't. I don't know what their circumstances, but the story is the point of this whole thing. If you're coming here, please be sure to stay within your visa rules as a tourist. You cannot work, obviously, depending on what you're doing. There are some great areas if you're working online. I don't think the government really cares that much as long as you're not really taking resources from the country itself and not claiming taxes, all that stuff. So, but if you want to be really sure, just go ahead and email the embassy or the consulate, send an email to Immigration Philippines, whichever country or city you're in, and ask them straight up, say, listen, I'm coming here, can I do this or can I not do this? At least you have a track record, something that shows that you had no ill intentions. I feel like that's like at least the safest possibility. I'm not a lawyer, do not take my word for any of this stuff. Do your own research. If you want to work in the Philippines, you do require the proper working visa, and it's not easy from what I understand. If you're married and all that, I think it's a bit easier, but if a single dude just want to come here to find a job, it's going to be difficult probably because there's a lot of qualified people here that could probably do the job that you're doing unless you're specializing in some field or working online as a digital nomad. Staying with the Bureau of Immigration, the BI has inaugurated a new forensic document laboratory at Clark International Airport on November 27th. The facility, part of the anti-fraud section, AFS, enhances border security by detecting fraudulent documents using advanced tools like a video spectral comparator and forensic microscopes. The commissioner was at the ribbon cutting ceremony as well as some staff from the airport itself, just showcasing that the BI Philippines is taking steps forward to modernize some of the detection tools and try to make sure less and less undesirable aliens enter into the Philippines. And not the kind from Mars Attacks. Have you guys watched that movie? I think I was a kid when I watched that movie Mars Attacks, where those aliens came down. I thought it was such a cool movie at the time. This is the second video in a row where I've shared some of my favorite movies with you guys. Hey-oh, maybe you can leave your thoughts down below. What are some of your favorite movies? Completely random, but you know, I want to get to know you guys. I used to work in the film industry, plus I love watching movies, so why not share your favorite movies down below? Now, our next story, someone mentioned this in the comment section briefly yesterday, but I ignored it because I thought it was like a joke I didn't get. And they said martial law in South Korea. I'm like, that cannot be true. But twas true. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol briefly declared martial law, citing alleged pro-North Korean activities aimed at overthrowing the government. The move, which harkened back to South Korea's history of military rule, saw troops surrounding parliament and enter its premises. However, lawmakers across the political spectrum, including from Yoon's own conservative party, opposed the declaration, calling it unconstitutional and undemocratic. A parliamentary vote overturned the decree, and Yoon rescinded the martial law around 4:30 a.m. on Wednesday. This recent event highlights tensions in South Korea's democracy and delicate balance of power between the presidency and parliament. And right now, South Koreans have gathered at Seoul's downtown Gwanghwamun in a protest, I'm sure I butchered that name, in a protest to demand the resignation of the president after he abandoned a short-lived attempt at martial law that plunged the country into its deepest turmoil in its modern democratic history and caught its close allies around the world off guard. Right now, South Korean lawmakers on Wednesday called for the impeachment of the president Yoon Suk-yeol after he declared martial law, only to reverse the move hours later, triggering the biggest political crisis in decades in Asia's fourth largest economy. I combined like three stories there: what happened with the martial law, what's going on with the protests, and impeachment calls for him if he does not resign. You know, those are some serious things to do. I mean, in Thailand, for example, martial law is a common thing, considering. I think even I was there for one of them. They do that quite often throughout Thailand's history, right? But first time I heard of South Korea doing it. I don't know any other details about it, but seemed like a failed plan. Let's go back to the Philippines and some good news for the public. Cebu City has launched a free public Wi-Fi initiative, starting with the outdoor access points at Plaza Sugbo. Mayor Raymond Alvin Garcia led the groundbreaking ceremony on December 2nd, alongside city councilors and officials. The project aims to enhance digital connectivity, especially for students and the youth. The youth then, with plans to expand to Plaza Independencia and eventually all barangays. The initiative has 3.9 million peso budget and it's expected to be completed within 90 days. It includes installing a monopole at the Plaza Sugbo and Plaza Independencia to accommodate over 1,000 users at a time. The project faced delay due to disputes over mobilization costs, but it is now underway with contractor Trends and Technologies. Whoa! Free Wi-Fi for the public up to 1,000. I hope this is better than the Naya free public Wi-Fi. And on a personal note, this is an experience I had when I was in middle school or high school, I can't remember, but I remember going to McDonald's one day and while I was going inside, I saw a sign on the store that said free Wi-Fi. I'm like, huh, must be like a new kind of burger or something. Let me go ask about this. I walk up to the counter, I'm like, excuse me, miss, can I get a Wi-Fi? She's like, huh? I'm like, can I get the free Wi-Fi? I saw the sign. She's like, oh, that's free Wi-Fi. I'm like, Wi-Fi, and that's the first time I knew what Wi-Fi was. Anyways, so that's my story. If you're listening to Steven, I remember we had a good talk and good laugh when I told you the story a couple weeks ago. Let's go on over to Thailand. A 24-year-old Russian woman named Maria tragically fell to her end from the 37th floor of her condominium in Bangkok yesterday afternoon. Emergency responders pronounced her unalive at the scene in Payatai district. Her boyfriend, 39-year-old Nikita, was found in shock inside the unit where the couple had been living for only 15 days. Neighbors reportedly hearing loud arguments in the night before the incident. Authorities are currently investigating the case, reviewing surveillance footage and preparing for further questioning to determine the circumstances surrounding the tragic event. If you guys have been watching this channel or anything about Thailand news or whatever, this happens quite often. People just tend to fall from condos very, very often. I hope they find out the cause of this in the end. Staying in Thailand, a disturbing incident at a university sports event in Surin has caused outrage after hidden cameras were discovered in the men's bathroom, secretly recording athletes. The suspect, who had been acting suspiciously for several days, initially denied any wrongdoing, but was later found with over 30 explicit videos on his phone, some of which had been shared via a messaging app. Concerns raised by athletes to the coach led to the discovery of hidden camera. This serious breach of privacy has sparked widespread condemnation online, with many calling for enhanced security measures at public events. Stories like this always has me scratching my head. Like, let me go ahead and try to explain myself a little bit. Not explain myself, but tell you guys where like my mindset is. I understand maybe like 20, 30 years ago, this may have been like cool, interesting, or maybe even a bit exciting, you know? But these days, with the plethora of free online videos of all kinds, why bother risking your freedom and being charged for something like that at a men's bathroom? Someone please explain to me. This is one of those situations where I don't get it. I just simply don't get it. Why not just go online and watch whatever you want for as long as you want? There are millions of videos of whatever you want to watch, so it just doesn't make any sense to me. Even if you want to sell it, who's paying for that? Really, people these days get everything for free, essentially, right? So leave your theories down below. Why do you think this happened? Like, I genuinely want to know. Like, do you think this is just like a sick individual? But then they had a group of them, and then they were sharing these messages. I just don't get it. I personally would not do something like that, but I guess we're all different in very different ways. And now it's time for a segment called Yesterday Today, where I share some of the most popular comments regarding a previous video. Of course, once again, thanks to Curtis with $2 super thanks. Says thanks. Well, thank you, Curtis. Buy 7555 says a military helicopter within 15 feet is something that should be taken very seriously because the backwash from the helicopter blades can cause damage or injury to anyone exposed to it. Excellent. Oh, my voice just cracked. Excellent point, and this is why the Philippines has problems with China and the vessels and the helicopters and all these tactics to do them, because it's actually causing injury to Filipino seafarers or whoever that is in the waters when China does stuff like this. Scamper Steven says, 1.5 kilometers, you waited for 2 hours, mate? Come on, you could walk that in about 15 minutes on the double. Yeah, I could definitely do that, but this is what happened. So while I was searching, like I mentioned yesterday, I waited about 2 hours for a taxi just to get 1.5 kilometers, right? So I was searching on Grab, Maxim, Joyride, and just whatever, regular white taxis. And by the time I went through all those options, an hour had already gone by, and I'm thinking to myself, any minute now, any minute now. Of course, if I knew at the beginning it's gonna take that long, I would have walked my ass too. But this is just over time of me just waiting and doing multiple different things to get that distance. But next time, I'll keep that in mind. I'll just walk my lazy ass 1.5 kilometers. Somebody mentioned they walk 10 kilometers a day in BGC or somewhere. 10 kilometers in the Philippines with this humidity. Big ups to you, man. I would not be able to do that for sure. Not me. I get too hot too easily. Just walking across the street to the mall gets me very, very hot and sweaty. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think of any of the stories I covered today. Who knows, maybe I'll read your comment too. Maybe some other people feel the same as you. Anything you want to share, if you take the time to write it, I'll take the time to respond. And somebody also suggested that I go ahead and make a video explaining my process of making these videos on a daily basis. So maybe on this weekend, I'll go ahead and make that video in case you guys are interested to seeing how and what the process is of making Asia Now. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Like video spectral comparator.